Hey folks, Matt from Weight Health Synergy. I want to share with you one of my favorite low-carb, keto-friendly shakes that I make. It is a high-fat, moderate amount of protein, about say 12 grams. We put about half a scoop in of the protein powder, and it's made with whole cream, 35% whipping cream. So what we're gonna do is I've got my handy dandy little Hamilton Beach blender. I got a Vitamix and I love it, but I saw these little Hamilton Beach personal blenders for $12 at Walmart. I think Amazon has them at the same price. I'll put the link to Amazon so you can see the blender I'm talking about. And basically you just drink right out of the blender. It's handy. So I've actually started using this. I still love my Vitamix, but so we've got 35% whipping cream. I'm using Hewitt's because Hewitt's has no crap in it. It's just pure whipped cream. Actually, speaking of which, I'm just gonna put the lid on, give it a little shake. I like to do that every time I pull it out just to make sure that I'm keeping things stirred up, just so we don't get any of the good fat settling out. So that's 1/3 of a cup I just put in, or if you want it in metric, that's 80 milliliters. So that's 80 milliliters. And then I'm gonna take some water. I've got some nice RO filtered water here, and we're gonna put in another 2/3 of a cup. So I'm gonna put in 2 of these. There's one, another 80 milliliters, and another. So we basically are up to a full cup, so about 250 mils. I know 80 and 80 and 80 doesn't equal that, but that's what it says. It's funny because the cup says 1/3 of a cup, and then it says 80 milliliters. So obviously it's rounding, right? So there, we've got our 1/3 cup of cream, 2/3 of water. So that's just cutting it. You could use all cream if you want, but it's a lot of calories. You may not want that many, and you don't need it to taste good. This tastes really good. Next up on the block is a scoop of glutamine. This is Ultimate Nutrition Glutamine. I'll put a link below. I think the one I just bought was Now Foods. They're pretty reasonable on Amazon. I'll put links for you. I just put a full scoop, which is 5 grams of glutamine. Glutamine is wonderful for muscle repair. It's one of the most needed, most used, most abundant amino acids in your body. And the other thing is that it's very, very good for curbing carb cravings while you're doing a low-carb ketogenic dieting. Now, next up we have, I'm going to put a little tidbit of stevia in here. And you can do this to taste. I know what I need, just a kind of a little tiny bit there on the end of the spoon. That may even be too much. Stevia is 200 times sweeter than sugar. This is the Now brand, Better Stevia, and this is basically pure stevia, or certified organic stevia extract powder. That's it. It's a leaf. It's really good for you. It's actually been shown to help regulate blood sugar in diabetics. So it's fantastic. It has no insulin response, and it is no grams of sugar. There's no sugar at all, so you're not getting any of your carb reaction on the diet. Okay, so we've got our cream, 1/3 of a cup of cream, 2/3 of a cup of water. We've got a little tiny bit of stevia. Do that to taste. Be careful. It's very sweet. We've got our scoop of glutamine, 5 grams of glutamine. Now we're going to put our protein powder in. This is actually Gold Standard Natural Whey by ON. This is an older container that I'm finishing up. I don't recommend these guys anymore because apparently they've changed the recipe and made it not as good as it used to be. It used to be really good. This is strawberry. So I'm taking about half a scoop, which is going to give us about 12 grams of protein instead of 24. Because you do want to be careful to not get too much protein on a low-carb keto diet, because protein can be converted to glycogen. So then you're getting carbs from your protein, which you don't want. So there we go. That's in there. I'm just going to run over and get a couple of strawberries frozen out of the freezer. Okay, this is just a bag of Kirkland Lake from Costco. 3 kgs of frozen strawberries. Nothing but berries. As far as I know, I mean, you never know if they're being totally honest, but these don't taste like they've been soaked in sugar or anything like some berries are. So these are just, as far as I know, all natural frozen berries. Just put the berries back in the freezer so they don't thaw while we're finishing this up. So that's everything we need for our shake there. We're going to make sure the little drinking sip area, there's a little, I don't know if you see this on the camera, there's a little sip area there. We're going to put the lid on, make sure it's on nicely there. And then we are going to bring the blender over so you guys can see where we're at. Where are we here? There we go. And we're going to put that on and give it some buzzes. like to buzz it quite a few times because the strawberries are in there and they were frozen, so you want to make sure that they're all mixed up. Plus, you want to get the stevia and the glutamine and the protein powder. Sometimes the protein powder can clump. You give it a few extra blends, it'll get all buzzed up and blended up in there. That should do it. Now, the really nice thing about using the frozen strawberries is they're only 2 strawberries, so very low in far as carbs, mostly fibers. Might get you 1 or 2 grams of carbs. You know, depends on the size of your strawberries and whatnot, but not much. Especially in there with the fat and the protein and whatnot, you're going to get virtually no insulin response. But with them being frozen, they make it nice and cold, and what you get here is a nice smooth, creamy, delicious tasting milkshake. It pretty much tastes as good as any milkshake you've had with ice cream and whatnot, because of the stevia, which is giving you your natural sweetener, and it's a strawberry milkshake. You could do this with chocolate. Maybe we'll do a cocoa chocolate one another time, but I love strawberry shakes, and this is delicious, and it's low carb keto. Cheers. Oh, that's good. I could drink these all day. Probably shouldn't, although really, there's really nothing in them that would penalize you for that on a low-carb keto diet. So you could. And it's so nice to be able to have a delicious dessert type thing, which is good for you right after you've had a meal. I just had a whole plate of broccoli with butter and cheese and sour cream. You can check the previous video we did where we were showing how we made that. And then I'm finishing it off with a delicious, nutritious drink. Absolutely delicious. So good. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you try it because I think you'll find it's really good and there's lots of variations you can make on it. And thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon here at WeightHealthSynergy.com.